What's up, y'all? Jay Spruill, movies, music, sports, and life. And y'all see what it is. The old school Sharif Abdul Rahim jersey, Atlanta Hawks. And you could probably see it in the background. I definitely turned the volume down to avoid any copyright strikes. But I literally went in order. I just put a star and put 27 things that I noted. And we're just going to start with number one. Lottie got big. So it definitely is the same little girl, but it's just amazing. Like the last time we saw her, I want to say she was probably 5 years old, maybe 6 at the oldest. And it's clear that she's between 9 and 10 years old now. And just beautiful little girl, and definitely a natural actress. You know, sometimes when you watch kids act, it's like you know that a kid can act if your brain is telling you it's clear that Paperboy is acting, it's clear that Earn is acting, it's clear that Van is acting, it's clear that Darius is acting. But when you watch this episode with Lottie, it's almost like your brain is telling you, no, that's a little girl on Tyler Perry slash what's his name, Kirkwood Chocolate Studio. Like, she really gives you the feeling that she was just tagging along with her mom to go on this acting excursion and ended up upstaging her mama and becoming the primary star, and she was just enjoying it. Like, there was nothing about the way this young lady acted that would make you believe that this wasn't really happening. But it's weird because everyone else, I could tell they were acting, but with her, every time she was on the screen, it seemed like it was real life. It's kind of hard to describe, but kudos to her. And I apologize for not researching what her name is, but she did a tremendous job. So, Mr. Chocolate Studios, they come in and they got some corny movie posters as you coming into Mr. Chocolate Studios. And when I tell you, let's just get this out the way. Let's just deal with the title of my video. Donald Glover, aka Childish Gambino, he took a hard crap on Tyler Perry tonight. Like, you thought when the Boondocks did it with Aaron McGruder. Let me just do a little side note about that. If you remember, um, I can't remember the name of the show, but it was William Jerome. You know, like Tyler Perry was William Jerome was the name, and he had a pink sweater, and he had a song called "It's Okay to Cross Dress for Christ," and basically insinuating that Tyler Perry Studios was like a cult. Dude, I was told that Tyler Perry was so angry at the Boondocks at that depiction that he was screaming and cussing and fired like half of his staff that day. And you know, Tyler Perry has a real big staff, but apparently he was furious about how he was depicted. But how he's depicted in this episode of Atlanta, I would say it's just as bad, if not worse. But it was very funny. So it's also interesting because obviously Donald Glover is not from Douglasville. He is not, from Buckhead, so he's not from the ritzy area of the city. And he's not from these far out, suburbs, which later became to be known as Atlanta. He's from Stone Mountain. You know what I mean? So he really is from Atlanta, and Tyler Perry's from New Orleans. And as many black people have done, including myself, we leave the city where we came from and come to Atlanta because of opportunities. But I sensed a little resentment in Donald Glover. If you notice, he said, "I'll call the police." He said, "I own the police. I also own College Park," and it's real. Like anybody that's familiar with Camp Creek Parkway and all of the exits that go towards the airport in College Park, they literally renamed it, man. It's what is it called? Tyler Perry Boulevard or Tyler Perry Estate or something. Like it was renamed. It's the green sign when you making turns, making exits. Yeah, it's renamed after him. So I think there's a little bit of resentment in Donald Glover's commentary that Tyler Perry came from the outside and basically just took over or bought part of Atlanta. And that also might be because Atlanta is such a black city. That also might be a slight commentary that he came into the movie industry and he bought black culture. And what I mean by that, Tyler Perry is almost considered the sole representative of what black is in Hollywood. He produces, directs, writes his own stuff. All he gets is distribution. He has complete creative control over how we are depicted as black people. So it's kind of like he just like literally bought the right to project the image of black people. He controls how we look. And I think that's the slight commentary that Donald Glover was making. But at any rate, they're at the studio, and it's weird because they give tours of Tyler Perry's studios. You can pay to take a tour of everything, and the woman that's giving the tour says, "For the culture, by the culture." And just allow me to say, when Van is walking up past that tour guide with little Precious Lottie, man, her stomach, man, this woman is so fine. It don't make no sense, man. She had the little midriff just walking. Um, I think I'm attracted to Van because her resting face, RBF. She has the thick eyebrows, the long eyebrows, so it's like she always kind of looks mean when she's not smiling. But then when she smiles, it kind of spreads like as long as the Joker. But when the Joker smiles, it's supposed to repulse you. When the Joker smiles, it's supposed to be hideous. But her smile is kind of like the Joker, but it's beautiful. So, all right, I apologize. You know, I got off on a tangent, about Van. But I believe the tour guide or somebody else said no one is allowed in and no one is allowed out. She was referring to the building that he converted to his offices. So the no one is allowed in. That's acceptable. That's he's a celebrity. He's rich, powerful. Yeah, I guard where I live. Nobody's allowed in. That's fine. But the nobody is allowed out. That's the cult part. You know, uh, That's the part that you have to be wary of. That was said. Um, so a guy is trying to holler at her, and in typical fashion of black women, I don't blame y'all black sisters. I mean, y'all get hit on all the time. It must be exhausting that that we come up to y'all at all times trying to get your number and stuff. So you can't give every black man your number that try to holler at you. But she hit him with the fake name, and so then they come out when it's her turn to act, and they say, Vanessa, they're ready for you. And then just in a real slick way, he said, yeah, Denise, they ready for you. Because she lied and told him her name was Denise. Um, as she's walking in to get set up for makeup and hair to be prepared to go into the scenes, they have a whole bunch of Tyler Perry, aka Kirkwood Chocolate movies, and they just all are ridiculous. Like I said, Donald Glover is just clowning this man. Um, One of the posters that I made a note, it was called "Still Ain't Crazy." I don't know what that's supposed to mean. So the woman is doing her hair, and she was asking Van if she watches Mr. Chocolate's movies, and she says not that much, just a few of them. And then the woman says flat out, "Oh, I hate it personally. I hate his movies." And then she said, "No offense." And then Van is laughing like none taken. And she's just basically saying that it's a living. No, he's providing. And I think that's a commentary on the fact that Tyler Perry employs black people, even if what he's projecting and what he's selling is not always good for us in terms of how it makes us look. Um, and then another guy from New Orleans, and I noticed that was a kind of an inside thing because, like I said, Tyler Perry's from New Orleans. He was sweating Van, and then it just kind of made me just realize every dude on this episode that came in contact with Van came across her. They was all of them was sweating her. Um, so then they get into the scene, and in the scene, it's always a dark skinned dude uh, that is violent and evil in all of his movies, especially Temptation. And Aaron Magruder pointed this out on the Boondocks on that Winston Jerome episode. So the dark skinned evil man that's always in every Tyler Perry movie says, "Didn't I tell you that you couldn't have friends?" And then, like, almost like the voice of God, like watching, grab her by the shoulders. And then I think Lottie said something. She told him to shut up, and Kirkwood Chocolate liked it. And when she said, "Where are you?" he said, "Everywhere. I'm Black God." So that was kind of that's probably something Tyler Perry isn't gonna like. Like, I would be shocked if Tyler Perry does not respond to this episode and express the things that he didn't care for. Um, I love when they ask Lottie to be in the scene, or they ask Lottie to say "shut up" the same way you said it. She said, "Okay," just like a kid. Then she's talking to the black woman. I don't really know what her role is, but she's an older black woman, and she asks Lottie. I mean, excuse me, asks Van once again, "Do you watch the movies?" She said, "No, not really. The last one I saw is when the woman marries an angel." And then the older black woman laughed, and when she was getting fed up with the fact that Kirkwood Chocolate, Mr. Chocolate, kept adding Lottie into scenes when Lottie wasn't even supposed to be there to act. So we went there from me acting in one scene to Lottie getting every scene, and they not even telling her where her child is. She was starting to get upset. And when she demanded to go see where her child was, they took her there on like a motorized golf cart scooter. And while the two employees was just singing Mr. Chocolate's praises about his movies, she countered and said, "Yeah, the woman was eating a crack sandwich." and, and not too long after that, after Van was complaining the woman was eating a crack sandwich, she says, "WTF, is this a cult?" So that's another direct call back to Jerome Winston Jerome, um, from the Boondocks, because it was clearly a cult there. So the woman, the older woman that was talking to Lottie about Mr. Chocolate, she told the two guards let her in. And says, "Oh no, she doesn't have clearance." She's like, "Okay." And she turned around, and I don't know how I knew that she had a gun, but she bow. She let dude have it right in the toe, and then they started confessing. They just completely tricked up. They say, "Hey, these are fake M16 machine guns. This is from the movie set." And she said, "Go ahead, baby. Go in there and get your daughter." So after Van crawls around a little bit, she says, "Give me back my daughter." No. Hey, like the no was so fruity. It was so fruity. No. And I just busted out laughing. I had a feeling that's the way he was gonna say it, because like, you talk about having a God complex. Like earlier, he said he's Black God. You definitely got a God complex when you tell somebody that you're not gonna give them their daughter back, and you don't even gotta express why. It's just no. Um. So then, when she finally finds where he is, and she sees him in person, he goes, "Hello," in that typical Medea fashion. And he was playing the piano terribly, and I think that was another just hard crap that Donald Glover was taking on Tyler Perry, because there's this expression, "you're a hack," and when somebody says you're a hack, it's like you really don't have talent, but you're just kind of faking it until you make it, and nobody has caught up to the fact that you don't have talent. And then he says, it's just so nasty. I love grits, but after seeing this, I'll probably never eat grits again. He takes grits and pours them from the pot into a cup and said, "Would you like a grit?" He said, "Would you like a grit?" as if it was coffee. And then he drank it. dude, dude is drinking hot grits. It's so man, I was laughing so hard. Um oh, she says you can't do this. I can do whatever I want. And that was very eerily similar to the Teddy Perkins episode when when Darius was telling Teddy Perkins, I can imagine I understand what you went through. He said, "No! No, you don't!" And he like screamed at him. But when Kirkwood Chocolate, aka Tyler Perry, aka Winston Jerome, says I can do whatever I want, she took the hot grits and threw them at him. And he said, "Ah, grits do not work on me." And they finally, uh, she finally got Lottie. Lottie was fighting with her mom because she didn't want to go home. She wanted to keep acting, and she had to pull her baby out of there. And he had this big towel around his neck, and he told the assistants, "I've lost a lot of blood. Can you call the ambulance?" Man, Atlanta was falling off to me. I didn't even do a review last week of last week's show because it was just whack. It was just, you following your auntie around, your auntie, fussing and fighting with her brothers and sisters. It was so whack to me, man. And I just felt like, dude, this show is losing it. And this this brought it back. This episode was better than every single episode of season 3. Every episode. And I might rank this episode number 2 behind, obviously, Teddy Perkins is the best episode they ever did, but Alligator Man when they introduced Cat Williams is up there. But this, yeah. So let's see what Tyler Perry says in response to this. This is Jay Spruill, movies, music, sports, and life. If this is your first time watching me, please subscribe to the channel. Hit that red button right there. I review Atlanta every single week, in addition to shows like Power Book 2 Ghosts, Power Book 3 Raising Canaan, Snowfall, and The Shy.